Hi, welcome to a Canto Roboflow training movie. In this training movie, I will improve and modify an existing XML workflow, a workflow that imports an XML file or reads an XML file from a hot folder and finds some records and does something with the assets. It copies them to pre-designated folders. So imagine that you have an XML file in which you have something like this. You have a couple of elements in here, and the first field in there would be what you're going to search for in the Cumulus catalog, and the second part is what you are going to the folder to where you're going to copy the file of that record. So what is something special or different about this is that this has multiple items of the same tag. So you cannot simply read the XML file and simply save the results, save the tags as parameters, because you have a repetition of the same tags. So we will have to do a kind of a loop to process this XML file. I have here already here a customer's workflow who has a little bit of trouble, and so I'm going to personalize it on my local machine, and you will see how we can fix this. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to use create a hot folder of my own. I'm gonna keep the customer's data here, and I'm simply going to select, and I already prepared that folder. I prefer, if I'm testing, using this tag application folder so that it can be generic and can be reused on any installation, and then going here. Then I know in this workflow that I have a target site, let's call it target size folder, and the target size folder is where I'm going to copy my folders to. So my work folder, so be it. I could say here select folder dialog, and then it automatically creates a new parameter with the functionality of being able to select the folder. So here it does not exist yet, so I'm going to say new folder, and I'm going to say file by size. It's just a name, it doesn't matter. Again, here I try to keep it generic. So what I'm going to do here is XX application folder, and making sure that I didn't do any typos, doesn't look that way. Okay, slash. Good. And then, oh, that was very stupid of me. Application folder. There we go. And it's a /. I'm using a / because then it will work both on Mac and Windows. If I use /, it only works on Windows. So it's just to be able to share this workflow with as many people as possible. Then I also know that we're going to search in a catalog, so I'm also going to add a catalog here. And so this is, I'm going to call this Cumulus catalog, which is the generic name, but if you prefer, you can just say Cumulus catalog or whatever catalog. It doesn't matter. I'm actually just going to do it like this, Cumulus catalog, and it's select catalog dialog. If you're saying, where do I get this? Well, this is all explained here below. You can find all the different selectors that you can add to this part. So select catalog dialog. I'm going to use a catalog that I call my watch folder catalog, which is, which is this catalog. So this catalog has just some files in it, and some of the files have an A in it and some of them have a B in it, and that's what I'm going to use in this test to search for the files that I want to use. Then another important thing is that I know that I'm going to use an asset handling set in here. Either you're using always the same asset handling set, which is best to configure here, and then you never have to care about it anymore, always using the same one. Oh, that's even a stupid choice, but doesn't matter. And then you're good. But if you want to have a very specific one for your workflow, different from the one that is generic, then you could define exactly the same parameter here with the same name, and then I do select asset handling set dialog. Always make sure you have no typos or it will ignore it, and you cannot remove parameters, so make sure not to make any typos. And I can just add it here. So as I mentioned in previous movies, it's good to have anything that can be specific, anything that can be specific to a workflow. Make sure to have that in a separate parameter here. What I mean is, don't mix up catalog names, asset handling sets, folders with your business logic, with your logic of your action script. Because whenever you need to come back here and change it, or you want to reuse this script, then it's very easy if these things are here in this screen and not somewhere 10 pages down in your action script. Then another thing is, I'm going to do a search in the catalog. So again, I'm going to add here a Cumulus query. I'm not going to add anything there, and I'm going to add, what I'm going to use is record name contains this question mark, and then it's always a good idea, it's not mandatory if there's no spaces in it or special characters, but it's always a good idea to have your value as well between quotes. You can use the more elaborate syntax that you get in the Cumulus advanced search, which is something like this, and then you have the numbers in here. It's a very good idea if your system would be multi-language and you want to use that on different servers with different languages. Doesn't matter. This is also working if you didn't rename that field. And then here I'm going to use a placeholder. I'm going to find a placeholder that exists in that script, and normally a placeholder, you know, is picked up like this, an internal variable, an internal result from something else. A text is picked up like this, so I know, because I checked up front, of course, that this parameter will be called field1, because that is the name of that particular tag in the catalog, in the XML file. But there is a mistake in here. The hashtag instruction is executed immediately when this script is executed. So when parameters is loaded, which is just another script for Roboflow, it will look for field1, but the parameters are loaded at the start of the workflow before anything else happened. So there is not even a file. So there is certainly not this parameter. So that is why if you add things that need to be evaluated later, all you need to do is add here this thing. This way, when it comes in, when it is evaluated, the Cumulus query will contain record name, blah, 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 hash tag field. So it will translate the dollar into hash, and that's it. And then later, when it's really evaluated in your script, then it will look up the field1 into the internal variable table. Okay, So now we have all the parts of our script, and now look at what we did in the script, or what the customer already prepared perfectly in the script. First thing, there's a hot file coming in, so I'm reading the hot file as an XML file. A good idea is, if you're only expecting XML, make sure to add here this little filter so that you don't get other files in there and then that you're trying to read a JPEG as an XML file. So it reads the XML file and stores it internally as what is called a hash table, a searchable table. And actually, because this is normally if this is a single level Excel file, this table would look like a text key with a string with a text value. But because this is a multi-level XML file, this will actually be a text key being row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with hash tables, with a hash table inside. And so that is why we need to do two steps here. So first we're picking up the root level, so we're picking up the XML file and reading it as a table. And then we're saying process every element of it. And then process every element, we can get, we called this the root, and we can get to the root key by specifying it like this. Just for information, we're adding this and we see that we read the XML and it's a hash table, and actually it contains another hash table which has as a key root. And it's a table inside a table. So to be able to get to it, you just need to process it again. So now I'm saying I'm taking the root table, which is in memory, and processing each line, and each item, which is again an XML table. And that particular XML table, this hash table, which contains actually field 1, field 2 as two elements. So in my script, I can output saying, okay, the key that I'll get is actually the tag, but because it's not unique, it will have added a number to make sure that inside the table it keeps its unique. And now I can say I have this hash table called row, and I can store the elements, which is field 1 and field 2, as internal variables. So from this point on, I have an internal variable called field 1 and field 2. So I'm outputting that to the log. Very good. Very efficient for debugging it. Then what I'm going to do is store the folder path. And you remember that I said I don't like using internal hard-coded path of folders inside my script. I created a variable called target size folder, so I'm going to use that. But I also don't want to lose this. So let's first pick up this so that it isn't lost. So this was the original value, but in reality I'm putting it a little bit different somewhere else. Okay, no problem. Going back here, and here I'm going to remove this, and I'm actually going to say hash tag open parenthesis control V close tag hash. And again, it could be if it's Windows a backward slash, but keeping it generic, I put a forward slash. I say create if not exist. So it inside this folder with this additional part, it will now create a complete target folder. And here is folder from path. You can call your variables whatever you like. Then we are opening the catalog because we're going to search for this particular field. Now, you can, if you have 1, 2, or 5 of these XML files a day, then you can, and there's 20 items in there, you could just keep the open catalog here and close catalog there and close catalog here. Then you're just opening the catalog 20 times. Well, not a big deal. But if this is a workflow that could get more work, I would say that in the beginning of the script, I would add a conditional thing that tests for the workflow progress and test, is this the first item of the loop? If it is, then I'm just going to say that I am test first. And so I say Control-C, Control-V, always add it to the comments so you know what your scripts are doing. What was actually not necessary here was the fact that the way this script was written before, that it had this this global prefix. Now in the way we're going to use it now, putting it here, it is very useful. It is required that you prefix it with global, because now we're only going to open it once. If you open it every time, then there's no need to prefix it with global, because you're just going to need it once inside that script. Prefixing it with global stores this element at the same level as these parameters, which are available throughout the whole processing of all items in this workflow. So that's what we're doing now. And since we're doing this, we're also here at the end going to say new and conditional test workflow progress. I'm going to say test last item of loop. So I'm going to say test last and then Control-C, Control-V. Okay. Which means that now I'm going to close the catalog here, which is the instruction right here. So cut, and I'm going to paste it here. So important is also here to notice that you have the drop down selection of the catalog, but I don't want to use that. I created an internal variable called Cumulus catalog. And actually be careful, you can see it there, but it isn't showing here. It's Cumulus catalog, and so I'm going to use that. So what I do is I pick it up like this. It won't show up in the list because it's a variable that does not exist in the template. It's something we added, so it cannot see variables from parameters that you added. So I'm going to do it like this. So now I have nicely picking up Cumulus catalog, making sure that there's no hard-coded stuff in here. Next is what we're going to do is now we're going to go to our search. So here in the search, we are doing the search very similar to what we were doing there. I'm going to cut this out, coming here, I'm gonna put it here so we know what originally was in this script. But notice that it would be better, safer to here prefix this with a double quote, so that if there's spaces in that search field, that the query doesn't get confused. Again, here, should you copy paste it in, make sure to use this, because otherwise your query also will fail. Good. Now we're here and we're going back. Oh, sorry. Let's pick up the name of the field. So Cumulus query, Control-C, cancel, and then let's go here and let's put it here. So hash. As again, it's one that you added in the parameters. It won't see it, but you can add it this way. Records found. What does records found contain? It contains the number of records if found. If the query was invalid, this will have -1 if there's a syntax error. If it's null, then there was no records found. If it's more than 1. Now here was a little confusion by the customer. He was testing if it was existing, etc., etc. There's no need. What you just do here is that you do a simple test, and what you can say, I'm going to test a piece of text, and the piece of text, is records found, and I'm going to say that I want, maybe you want to find one, then you say one, maybe you want to find at least one. So then I can say, is number greater? So I'm looking for, is the number greater than 0? Yay, then I found it. So test if records found. Good. That's one thing. So the result, as I said, is a bunch of is records in your catalog, is in your catalog collection. So if you didn't find any, then we do the else section. So new, conditional, test else. We're testing else on what? Well, we're testing else on records found. Where is it? Here, test if records found. Good. And what do we want to do? Well, we want to do what actually the customer added here. We want to send a mail. So we want to say copy, and we want to say paste. Make sure if we have a look here. So here you can see subject and the message, email message to send, email notify is not correct. Email notify is a piece of text that exists, but so who do you want to notify? Again, here hard-coded, not that good. Traditionally, you have in your workflow, in the global section, you have email on error. So you could, if you are the person who are creating this workflow, who is managing this workflow, you could put it here. If you don't, then you can hard code it, or you can put it in the parameters and then call it here. Good. So field 1 not found is very useful, but this message is not correct. What we need to do is we need to store a text, and what we could do is we could use the query, which tells us this is what it didn't find. You have it, or you can make whatever you like. So I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm just going to give him the query that I was using in the message. So that way I know that this is going to be in the body of the mail if it fails. Now, what do I need to do if it doesn't fail? Well, now I need to process these records. So what I am going to do here is I'm going to do a Cumulus catalog thing. What am I going to do? I'm going to loop through, process the records in a collection in this, the search. This is actually not a catalog, but a catalog collection. And what catalog, and then I'm going to tell it what is the output variable. Traditionally, we say for records and files, we call them hot. Don't be afraid, we're already using in this script hot for files, but in reality, internally, it's not stored as hot, it's stored as a hot file. And this record will not be stored as hot, but hot record. And so if the object types are different, don't worry about it. So now we have all the records, and now we can do this instruction that the user was using to process this particular file. So I can say paste, and I can cut away, of course, this section that was a little bit of a mistake. And so here we need to check the record. What records found was a mistake. The records find doesn't exist. If you do a drop down here, and now record found pops up because it was specified in there. But if you do a drop down, it should already show the object. Otherwise, you made a mistake. Yeah? So variable of folder to use, and then here the asset handling set. As I said, I don't like hard-coded stuff in my scripts, so I'm adding here the asset handling set, which is either the global one, or if you overruled it, and now you can see nicely copied. No problem. You can even go further and you could say, okay, now I'm going to test if the target file exists. You could do that. Then you're even more certain that it was successful. Good. So this is our little script. So let's see if I made any mistakes somewhere, and then we can test it. So I'm going to copy my test Control C. Sorry, I'm going to copy my file in here, and I don't want this one, so I'm going to remove that one. So there we go. And now I can say start. At least we didn't get an error, so I'm going to see in the log what this is. Oh, that's unfortunate. The script was still on debugging, so don't put it on debugging if you don't need to. It only confuses things, but we can check at least if it was working here. So if I go to here, it was processed, and if I look file by size, folder A, here are all my smileys that have an A in the name, and here will be all my smileys with a B in the name. So you can see it nicely worked. I'm going to throw it away and do it again, just to get to make you see the logging information. So I'm going to copy paste the XML file in again. So Control C, Control V, and then start. And then we will have a much more readable log file. Show log, and here, oh, what did I do? Did I not? Oh yeah, oh stupid. It's of course, this is not my drop folder. Control X. This is my drop folder, so I need to copy it there. Okay, do it again, start. Show log, and then here we go. So what happens is it finds this file. The top level is root, as you remember from the XML file. Here, that's what it finds, root. And this is just the one XML table. So it says now I'm picking the first element, which is again that XML table or hash table. And so then it processes these entries. Notice that there is no sorting, and the way these keys are stored and generated, it's unsorted. So it's not that it will first process this one and then that one. That's not the way it works for obvious reasons. So you can see that it has processed them, and it says, okay, I have B, I have A, and it processes them nicely. Okay, so here you go. This is the catalog, and the end result here is this. So I hope this was useful. Training movie was a little bit longer than normally, but we added a lot of extra information. So see you in the next one.